Welcome to Prophecy Views. I'm Brian Barton, and we're going to kind of have a little bit of fun this evening and take a little different turn tonight. We had some company over, and since my studio is handy, I thought I would do something a little bit different. Tonight, I found out that one of my, if not my youngest viewer, definitely one of them, is Brooklyn. And she's been kind of keeping up with what we've been doing, and so I thought maybe we would just have a simple conversation and have a little bit of fun this evening because we take so much of what we do seriously. So, you are 8 years old?
7.
7. And do you keep up with the news typically with what's going on?
Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes. So, there's a big heated battle with Donald Trump. You probably know Miss Trump.
Yes.
And a gentleman by the name of Joe Biden
Is going against him.
is
right?
running against him. That's right. Do you keep up with any of that?
Well, sometimes my parents doesn't tell me, so.
Yeah.
But when they tell me, I keep up with it.
Okay. So you've watched a couple of our videos. What type of thing has caught your attention? What's caught your eye?
Mostly where you're talking about the Bible.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Sure.
Really. And really, that's literally the main thing.
Okay.
I have my eye on.
Does the prophecy of the Bible, does that intrigue you or interest you?
Yes, very much.
You know, there's a lot of different ways that sometimes people see that type of thing. And if I can I share something with you?
Sure.
So several years ago, now when I was young and in my late teens, I was really interested in Bible prophecy. But then I got out in the world and everything kind of changed, and I got away from the stuff. When I came back and started going to church again a few years ago, I came back and I started doing what I knew to do, and that was Bible prophecy. And what I determined at that point in time is find every verse that has to do with a particular topic and read all of those verses and then decide what the scriptures are trying to tell you, what pictures are trying to tell you.
Yeah.
When the rapture is going to happen, or just different things about the prophecy, the Antichrist and the descriptions of him, and when he's going to appear on the scene, on the world scene, and that sort of thing, and descriptors about how we'll know when it's him. Well, then I took that same concept and I went into the rest of the Bible, and that's how I made my determination on what salvation was. So this stuff that you're interested in Bible prophecy, just always remember, because you probably already know, find scriptures that talk about any topic you want to find out about. And it's pretty easy to do with the concordance or in the back of your Bible. You can look this stuff up. And you do the same thing in Bible prophecy. So if you want to know anything about the Antichrist, start making a list of every scripture that talks about the Antichrist, because they're all over the place. In Daniel, in Ezekiel, and Zechariah, you'll find descriptions in Zechariah, Revelation, obviously. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Have you had a favorite video that you liked?
Mostly all of them.
Mostly,
I watched.
you like them all the same? Now, without doing the obvious Jesus Christ, who would be your favorite character in the Bible? What's your favorite Bible story?
Most of the ones I've learned in Sunday school.
Well, is there a favorite or one that comes to mind? I mean, you got Jonah the whale.
I love the blazing furnace where Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They knew that God would save them. If not, they would still love God if they went in the blazing furnace and they burned or not.
That was a pretty cool story. There's a
Yeah.
lot to pull out of that story. The ropes burned off, but the rest of them never even smelled like smoke when they came out.
There's 2 books I have about it. Oh, and I learned about the person and the whale.
Jonah and the whale?
Yeah.
Now that was pretty cool.
Sister Lynn said the person would probably get an empty stomach and probably get sick.
Well, you know what? That's a good point. And unless the whale ate something that he didn't mind eating, he was on a fast, wasn't he?
Oof.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that.
Don was so glad that the whale, is it when they put out all the water from the hole? Is that breathing?
And I think so, but I would assume so, but I'm not sure.
Me
I'm not.
either.
I'm not an expert on whales.
Me
A
either.
whaleologist.
I'm not really an expert about anything.
Oh, you will be though. Do you know kind of what you'd like to do when you grow up? Like go to college for a certain thing?
You
Is
mean
there-
what type of job I want to do?
Yeah. Do you know?
I want to be a family doctor.
Oh, that's pretty cool. You look like a doctor.
Yes, that's what I think.
Have you heard Papa and I talk about the Abraham Accord? Does that sound familiar?
Not really, no.
No. So that's talking about a peace agreement that's coming up. And when that peace agreement happens, it'll be between the Israelis and the Palestinians. The Antichrist will be a leader or a political figure from another country from Europe, but he's going to be involved in it. We won't know who he is just yet. But that peace agreement, when it's signed by the right people, it will mark the beginning of the final 7 years to the end of this age. Now, not the end of the earth, but the end of this age.
Mhm.
Well, that's kind of intriguing. That's probably something we'd want to watch out for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool that you have found our channel. And I would guess your grandpa probably has shown you a few of them.
Mostly my mom.
Your mom, she watches them too?
Mhm.
Well, that's pretty awesome. Well, we've got people all over the place that we didn't necessarily know were watching. We usually have several hundred people that watch the videos. We're hoping to get that up well into the thousands because people need to know, don't they?
Yeah. And Mommy loves to watch these videos.
Does she really? I'll bring this up right now. We have a Facebook group as well as a Facebook page. So now we have a Facebook private group if you want to keep up with news or if you'd like to post comments or things of that nature, you're welcome to join our private group. Just put a request in and it's called Prophecy Views Connected. And I believe your mother may be a member of that group. So we'll take a look at that. So you like Jonah and the Whale?
Yeah.
You like, are you familiar or do you remember, I know there's a lot of stories, but do you remember
Yeah.
Joseph? Not Mary and Joseph, the other Joseph.
I
The one that had a
don't-
dream that his family would bow to him. And when he told his brothers, they sold him into slavery.
Wait, when they like had a big hole and they put him in.
You remember that story?
Yeah.
Do you remember a lot of it?
Yeah.
That's,
Well, some.
that
but
is one
not
of my
all.
absolute favorite stories in the Bible.
Really?
I love the story of Joseph. And you know why?
Why?
If you'll let me just elaborate for a minute, because it's a big, long story.
Okay.
So Joseph gets sold into slavery. They put him in this pit in the ground, like you
Mhm.
remember.
Yeah.
They sold him into slavery, and then he got bought by a guy named Potiphar, and he worked at Potiphar's house. Well, Potiphar found out that every time he put Joseph over something, he made all kinds of money in that direction. And so eventually Potiphar put him over every aspect of his vast business. And so he ended up going through Potiphar's business school for free.
For free?
For free because he was owned by Potiphar. So he didn't pay him anything, but he got to live there and he was treated very well. Well, a couple of things some things went bad there and he ended up in prison. And it wasn't his fault. It was just a misunderstanding. So Joseph ended up in prison.
Was it on an accident or did he
Yeah.
accidentally do something?
He didn't do anything, but he got accused of something he didn't do. We'll just say that.
Yeah. That
It's-
happens a whole lot.
Yeah, it happens at school, I bet.
I think so.
I'm sure it does. So then Joseph ends up in prison.
Okay.
Well, God blessed him in prison. He made him the head prisoner. The guy that ran the prison, that was not in prison, the guy that ran the prison, put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners for quite some time, several years. Well, when you're in prison and you're dealing with prisoners and you're the main prison guy. You learn to deal with people in desperate situations and
How
dealing
hard
with
it is with all of them.
and dealing with people that aren't easy to deal with,
Yeah.
because these people are in prison that he's in charge of. So for several years, well then, the king ends up putting his baker and his cupbearer in prison, and they had a dream, both of them, one night, and they were pretty disturbed about it, and they happened to tell Joseph about their dreams, and he goes, well, my God can interpret those dreams. And he interpreted the dreams for those two. And he told the cupbearer, we'll stick with that side of it. He told the cupbearer, in 3 days, you're going to be back at your position by the king. And that's exactly how it happened. And he told him, remember me when you go back to be by the king. Tell him I'm down here and he's forgot about me and I was wrongly accused. Well, the cupbearer forgot. And I'm bad about that. Like, my forgetter works real good. Does that sound familiar?
To me, yes.
Yeah. So, the cupbearer gets back in his position by the king, forgets about him. For 2 years, he forgets about him. And then the king has a dream, 2 dreams, that disturbed him so much, and he brought it up to his cupbearer, and the cupbearer was like, I know a guy down in the prison that can interpret those dreams, remember? Because he interpreted his dream. So they get Joseph, shaved, comb his hair, put a new suit on him, bring him up, and he interprets those dreams to the king. It says, you're going to have 7 good years, and then you're going to have 7 of feast, and crops are going to be really good for 7 years, but then you're going to have 7 years of drought and famine. And the king said, I'm so thankful that you did that. I've got to find, Joseph told him, you need to find somebody that's very smart and put them over this agricultural system over all the land. And the king says, I don't know anybody wiser than you. You're the main guy. And told Joseph, you are now number 2 in all of the land. Whatever you say goes. So Joseph went through all these years when most people would have given up on God. He never lost faith. He went through all of these years of being in slavery for Potiphar, but he learned how to run business very well.
Yeah, probably from all those years.
And then he ended up in prison for several years, and in prison he learned how to deal with difficult people. So now, when the time is right, he was able to save his family and what turned out to be the start of the nation of Israel. All because he went through many, many years of seasoning to turn him into the man that God needed him to be when the time was right. And I think a lot of us have kind of a Joseph story. And, you know, you're kind of starting out in life. But you're going to go through all these different lessons that only you will learn, that other people won't have the same experiences that you have. You're going to be a unique individual that will be able to take the seasoning that God gives you, and he's going to be able to use you in whatever it is he has planned for you, and as you go through life, not just when you become an adult, but as you go through. Because I'm sure that Joseph probably witnessed to a lot of people in slavery and in prison and stuff. I'm sure he did. So that's my favorite story in the Bible, because I think we all have a little Joseph in us.
Yeah.
So I remember you telling me one of the things that you noticed about when we do our videos is how we always drink coffee. You want to drink a coffee?
Sure.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Very good. Did you get enough cream in yours?
Yeah.
Awesome.
When we go hunting in the mornings, when my dad lets us go hunting in the morning, I have to wake up like where it's in the middle of the night morning.
Yeah.
And then I'm better at the afternoon. Like in the afternoon.
Have you been hunting yet?
Yeah, I've been hunting.
Have you
since
seen
last
anything?
year. Mm-mm.
Michaela got a big one.
Oh, a 10-point, yeah.
I keep, her last one we ended up in our freezer, and we ate some of it. So I'm waiting for this big one to show up. No, I told your dad, keep 3 or 4 pounds for yourself, and then bring the rest over here.
I want an 8-point when I shoot one.
Why don't you want a 12-point?
I can't beat that.
You can too.
I cannot be at
It's
10
the
points.
same arrow. You put the same arrow in the right place and that deer goes down. It doesn't matter if it's a 50-point.
Ian said where you're shooting, if the leg is like pointing out, you can just go a little bit over here and shoot.
Can you put it where you want it?
I don't know.
Let's say if you want to hit the deer here
Okay.
and he's way over there. Can you put the arrow here? Are you pretty good at hitting what you're shooting at?
Yeah. Because there's a practice deer thing, of course,
Sure.
always, and I usually always get it right. And actually, when I got surprised this time, the last time, it was right on the spot. Literally right where we wanted it.
And that was practice.
Yes.
Is there, Papa's talking about doing some stuff on his own, like salvation issues, and I understand he does a tabernacle plan. Have you seen that?
No.
Have you seen a model of the tabernacle?
I don't think so.
That's a pretty interesting thing that I need to learn more about.
Ah.
Well, I am so happy to find out that you are a viewer of ours. Is there anything you'd like to tell our media family? These people are really that watch it. They're really our family to some extent. Is there anything you'd like to say before we sign off?
Not really.
Just kind of interesting to watch. All right. Well, Brooklyn, thank you for your time, and it's good to see you, and I look forward to hearing more about what you have to say and your critique of our videos in the future, of what we need to change and what you like to see and don't like to see. Would you promise to give me that information as you think about it?
I'll try.
Very good. Thanks for joining us on this little fun video. We appreciate your time. You can find us on prophecyviews.com. God bless.